What is going on, Colts Nation? Welcome back to another episode of Bring the Juice. Guys, wanted to talk about this real quick because it's on everyone's mind. And of course, it's going to be a topic of conversation, at least through this week, especially. So far, Indianapolis Colts quarterback Anthony Richardson has now faced two different injuries in just two games in his rookie season so far with the Indianapolis Colts. If you go back to the Jacksonville Jaguar game, he had suffered a knee injury, which had left him with a little bit of pain, but that wasn't something that was going to really keep him from doing too much. I know that he was taken out of the final minute of the game, but at that point, the Jacksonville Jaguars were up by 10 with a minute left. So Steichen did not want to put Anthony Richardson back out there and get him hurt any more than he already was. So, he played through four quarters basically against Jacksonville, but was hobbled just a little bit going through the rest of that game. And then, of course, we saw after the first two drives of the Texans game, after Anthony Richardson was lighting it up, we saw that he had suffered a concussion by a hit in the end zone as he was going into the end zone and ended up, having an issue where his head had hit turf, and that ended up causing him to get whiplash, and it basically messed him up from that point forward and kept him from coming back into the game. Now, obviously, it was great that Anthony Richardson understood something was wrong and proceeded to tell the doctors and the trainers and everything that something wasn't right, and it's good that he was able to get that figured out. But so far, we have now seen Anthony Richardson sustain multiple injuries, and this is definitely not a good trend. I know that most people are sitting back and are saying Anthony Richardson will learn from this, and I have no doubt that he will learn from. I'm sure that they're going to have guys going into the locker room every single day that are reminding him that, hey, you cannot take a play off by any stretch because you could get hurt at any moment. And when you do, it ruins the chances of this team winning games off of your back. So we need you on the field, and you have to continue to be better at taking less hits. Now, obviously, we talked about him getting out of bounds and, giving himself up before, he gets a chance to get hit from the first game. That's how the knee injury came apart, was he, tried to run for a couple runs in there where he could have went out of bounds, but proceeded to try to get more yards, and it ended up backfiring, and it ended up getting his knee hurt. And then, of course, in that Texans game, listen, guys, I'll just say it. From what it sounds like is that he didn't realize that the safety was that close, and that means he wasn't prepared for the hit. Now, again, I'm not saying he gave himself up. I'm not saying he's doing that, but that's, again, just another example of Richardson needing to be fully aware of his surroundings, because when he's not aware, then he could get hit with something like that. And then that results in something where that hit could have totally been avoided had Anthony Richardson seen the guy coming and prepared himself for the contact better. I totally believe that could have definitely been avoided had there been an understanding of where he was at. And this is the point where we're trying to make it here, guys. Anthony Richardson has to get better at this, because if his development is delayed because he keeps having time off because of these injuries, then it is going to constantly have an issue. From what we have heard, Anthony Richardson has not had a injury history, okay, from throughout his year in college and his time in high school. But at the end of the day, you have people that will continuously tell you that you have an injury problem. And Richardson, again, has only played in two games, but I don't think there's an injury problem. I think it's just been Anthony Richardson has been used to playing football one way his entire career, and no one has really taught him to not play that way because that's been his greatest strength in the level of competition that he has played in, which is that he is practically invincible against anyone that has played against him before. Well, now you're facing guys that are just as big as you, just as strong as you, just almost as pretty much as fast as you. So you're not as special of an athlete that Anthony Richardson is. You're just not as special anymore when it comes to your athletic abilities. Guys hit harder, guys are faster, guys don't care about whether or not you get injured or how hard they hit you. And that's going to be the issue that Anthony Richardson has to deal with going forward, because in the first two games, in just over 4 quarters of football that Anthony Richardson has played in, he has completed almost 64% of his passes for nearly 300 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, and 3 rushing touchdowns, and has almost 100 yards rushing on the year already. So you look at it and you look at these stats, almost 64% completion percentage, 280 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception with a QB rating of a 78, and then also having freaking 15 rushes for 75 yards and 3 touchdowns on the year. Anthony Richardson in that amount of quarters has done that. And Anthony Richardson has the ability to explode. I think so far, for most people, what they have seen from Anthony Richardson has only been positive. Like, Anthony Richardson does not look as raw as what some of us might have thought he would look like coming into the season, which is a great thing. But if he continues to have time where he's going to miss because of these injuries, it can stunt the development of Anthony Richardson moving forward, because we all agreed this year was not the year we want to see. Anthony Richardson is not a finished product, and will probably take him another 2 years in order to be able to be at a product where we think he's going to be at his best. And this is all just him consuming this knowledge, understanding what's going on, and getting better and making himself the best version of himself. And unfortunately, he's learning in the harsh reality that he has the worst part about him is his greatest part was that his athletic ability, sometimes he thinks he can do more than what he can't, and that is getting him hurt. So hopefully he doesn't miss time, because remember, with this concussion that he has now, it's most likely that he's going to miss this next week against Baltimore. So that's 1 game. That's 4% of your season right there, just taken away from you if he doesn't play this week because of the concussion. So, I mean, that's something where you got to look yourself in the mirror and you have to learn from those mistakes. Now, obviously, I think he is going to learn from this, and he has to learn from this, because if he's going to continue to get himself hurt, then it is going to be a long career for Anthony Richardson, because he's just not going to be the same player after a while if he just continues to get hurt. He's a great durable guy, but if he doesn't take care of himself, it's going to be a bad situation for the Indianapolis Colts, who put a lot of faith in Anthony Richardson and Shane Steichen to move this team in a new direction. So hopefully Anthony Richardson figures it out and understands he's going to have to get it done one way or another. But that's going to do it for this one, guys. Let me know your thoughts. Do you think that it's a concern with Anthony Richardson going forward with this? Or do you have confidence that he's going to understand at some point to start taking better care of himself, and he will eventually get to a point where he's going to complete several games without having to worry about it? But that's going to do it for this one, guys. Let me know your thoughts. Thank you so much for tuning in. And as always, go Colts.